Well, hello. If you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you're probably a plant person like myself. In which case, maybe you struggle with a common problem like I do, which is that your significant other maybe just isn't as in love with your plants as you are. Usually when I go out and buy new plants, I kind of have to sneak them inside the house, but this weekend my boyfriend is out of town camping with his buddies, which means it is the perfect opportunity for me to hoard some more plants into the house and just pretend like they were always there like that, because he can't tell the difference between any of them anyway. If you saw my short from yesterday, then you'll know earlier in the day I was at IKEA and picked up some plants there. And coincidentally, just a couple miles away is one of the biggest nurseries on the entire West Coast, the Plant Stand of Arizona. Now, if you're local to the Valley, you'll probably be super familiar with them. They not only have a huge nursery right centrally located in Phoenix, but they're the supplier for most of the big box stores. So if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or Fry's or anywhere else like that that has plants inside the store, typically if you look at the labels, you'll see that they're from the Plant Stand of Arizona. And the cool thing about the Plant Stand is even if you're not located in the Valley, they actually ship all across the country. So you too can also get plants from there if you see things that you really like in this video today. Now, it's been a hot second since I've been to the Plant Stand, because since I've recently moved, it's a bit of a hike to get there if I'm being honest. And historically, in my visits to the Plant Stand, I always kind of leave with mixed feelings about it. So in today's video, I wanted to give you a quick tour of the nursery itself. I'll do a haul of all the plants that I got while I was there yesterday. And also, I'll just kind of share my overall experiences with shopping there, what I like, what I don't like. And that way, if you want to place an order with them online, or if you want to come and visit them in person if you're ever here in the Valley, you'll kind of know what to expect. So with that said, let's hop in our time machine back to yesterday when we were there. The first thing I wanted to mention is that on the way in, you'll drive down this long road with palm trees that feels like a private driveway, but trust me, you're in the right place. Okay, we just got here, we just arrived and parked. I'm looking at the parking lot and it's like not that full. It's 2:30 on a Friday, so I'm hoping that we can beat the rush of people before they get here. So let's head on inside and let's see what they got. Not only do they have a ton of houseplants, but they also have a great selection of really mature plants for your landscaping. Or if you're the type of person who likes to have full-size trees inside your house, you can use them for those too. Right when I walked in, my jaw dropped when I saw that these whale fins were only $15. I didn't buy one, I already have one, but great price. In the back of the grow house, you'll see there are piles and piles of shipping paper. Again, they do ship nationally. And I feel like these shots really don't do justice of just how big these greenhouses are. I know most people think of rubber trees and think of a little 6-inch pot, but this is a beautiful example of what they can turn into. I really wanted to buy this plant if I'm being honest, but there was no price and I just assumed it was like hundreds of dollars. Elephant foot's a really common plant here in Arizona, but I've never seen them trained like these. To me, these look like aloe, but they were labeled as cardboard palms, and they are some of the craziest things I have ever seen. They also have a pretty big selection of pots if you're looking to get some while you're here. And while I couldn't get up close, you'll see they have quite the collection of rare plants here. And on our way home, you could even see the city of Phoenix. And we're back. Okay, so before I get into the haul and show you guys what I got yesterday, I will just tell you in advance, I got some treasures. I just wanted to kind of talk through the pros, the cons, what pricing looks like, maybe spill some tea, or in my case, lukewarm coffee, and give you guys the full scoop on what's going on there. So starting out with what I love about the Plant Stand, I will say they have one of the largest collections of plants at almost any given point that I've seen anywhere. If you're looking for something more common, there's a really good chance that they're going to have it when you go and visit there. And in the last couple of years, they've also started carrying a pretty fair amount of rare plants too. As for their pricing, particularly if you're going there in person, I will say I find their pricing to be incredibly reasonable. And really that carries over to online too. Of course, the only thing about shopping online is you do have to pay shipping charges. I believe their shipping starts at $29.99. So if you're only looking to get one or two things, it can definitely raise the price pretty significantly. And as somebody who sells plants online as myself, I can just say that shipping costs are one of the most frustrating parts, because even if you can sell your plants at a really cheap price, usually the shipping component is going to make it way more expensive than if you were to just go and find that same plant at Home Depot, for instance. So nothing that's unique to the Plant Stand, but definitely something to keep in mind if you are thinking about ordering from them. Another thing that I think is really great about the Plant Stand is that if you're somebody who is newer to plants, your staff seems very knowledgeable and can probably point you in the right direction. Right on the displays for most of the plants, you'll see great information like what kind of lighting it should be in, how often it should be watered, and in some cases they even make soil recommendations if you're not sure on that. Finally, they have this adorable golden retriever that walks around everywhere, which is worth the visit just in and of itself. Plus the overall layout is very easy to navigate. They're just long rows with the plants in them, and you can find what you're looking for very quickly there. This brings us into some of the cons. Now this won't be true for everybody. Personally, I'll just mention again for me, it's a bit of a hike to get there. Even when I was living in North Scottsdale, at the quickest I would get there in about 30 minutes, which isn't the end of the world, but I do kind of wish that they had additional locations like most of the other big nurseries in the area. Next thing is honestly the biggest one that keeps me away from going there, and that is the crowds. Now this time I went during the afternoon on a Friday, and I will say it was such an amazing experience. There was almost nobody there. It was really just me, and it was very peaceful to shop there. However, typically when I've gone on a weekend, it is a madhouse there. Specifically, I remember I went there the one time to pick up a Lucula grandis. Unfortunately, since purchasing that plant, it has transformed itself into compost. But anyway, the day that I went there to pick it up, there was no joke at least 500 people in the main grow house. You were shoulder to shoulder with everybody. And the line literally went to the back of the greenhouse and took about 2 hours to get through. Now, if you're not an introvert like myself, maybe to you that sounds exciting. To me, honestly, it is like my personal version of hell going to a plant shop that's super crowded. So if you are gonna go, I would definitely try and recommend going on a weekday if possible. The next point, I just want to preface by saying I never want to accuse somebody of something, especially when I don't have hard data on it. But there does seem to be a reoccurring trend here, not just from me, but from what I've heard with other people, which is that plants that come from the plant stand seem to have a problem with pests. Now the thing is, whether you're a private collector, whether you're a nursery, when you have that many plants densely next to each other, there's just going to be pests. It's going to happen. However, as somebody who shops at a lot of different nurseries, I will say it just seems to be a coincidence that every time I go to the plant stand and buy plants from there in particular, I have outbreaks of pests on those plants after I bring it home. Again, I also believe that it really is the responsibility of the person buying the plant to thoroughly look over their plants, make sure that there's not pests that you can visibly see on there, quarantine those plants when you do bring them into your house, and treat those plants appropriately if you do find pests. But again, from my own experiences, from what I've seen about people talking in Facebook groups, it just seems to happen in a higher likelihood. So I'm not saying this from a standpoint where I'm trying to scare you away from buying plants from them. I just bought a whole slew of plants from them yesterday, so clearly it's not a huge deal, but something to certainly be mindful about. Next thing I'll say, small detail that only affects people looking for rare plants, but this seems to be a new development there, which is that they rope off all their rare plants and you can't pick them up yourself. You actually have to go call somebody over and have them bring the plants over to you. Again, not faulting them for doing this. I can't say for sure, but if I had to guess, I would imagine it probably has to do with people prop lifting, which I know sounds kind of like a funny joke, but in all honesty, it is a serious problem for a lot of nurseries if you don't know what that means. Essentially, what some people do is when there are rarer plants at nurseries, they might invite themselves to, maybe mistakenly brushing into the plant in such a way where a cutting of the plant falls off and it magically makes their way into their purse or their pocket or whatever. And while you might think that it's just one leaf or it's just a small piece of the plant, if everybody goes in there and does it, then there's not going to be anything left for them to sell. So who knows? Not sure if that's why they are doing it, but if you are going in there specifically to shop for rare plants, just know that you're going to need some assistance and it's not going to be as easy as just pulling them off the shelf and looking at them. Anyway, now that we've talked through every excruciating detail about the plant stand, let me show you what I got. This first plant that I got is this Moonlight Sansevieria in a 6-inch pot. This guy was honestly a last minute decision to grab. It was $9.95, which I thought was quite a steal. He's pretty big, and I have had these in the past before. I've had a little 4-inch pot of them. And I just have some darker areas in my house right now that most plants don't do too well in, but I figured a snake plant would be perfect. Now, because the Moonlights do have less chlorophyll in their leaves, I'm not sure how well he'll do there, so we're kind of just gonna experiment with it, but nonetheless, for $10, I thought that this guy was quite the steal, and I'm glad that I picked him up. Okay, don't come for me when I show you this next plant. I don't know what was going on last night. I got home and was having just like a manic episode or something and started repotting a bunch of plants by the campfire in weird scenarios. And I put this Calathea Beauty Star in this terrarium that I've had for a couple of weeks now, and I've been trying desperately to find something to fit into it. As you can see, the Beauty Star does not fit in here, but I don't know what I was thinking last night. But if you've been an OG subscriber, you'll know in my last apartment, I actually used to have my old Beauty Star right behind me. Unfortunately, it met its demise in the fertilizer fiasco of 2020. But these were always one of my favorite plants, and I'm super excited to have them back in my collection. I probably will end up taking it out of this glass jar that I have it in and give it a formal pot. This guy was also $9.95, and they had a ton of different varieties of Calatheas there. I just always really love the Beauty Star. This brings us into our big boys that we got, and the first plant that I got was this standard rubber tree. Now, I'll try and tilt him into the frame so that you can see all of him, but he's a really nice size. He came in this, I think this is is it a 1 gallon or is this a 3 gallon? I can never remember. But either way, his leaves are looking super, super juicy and nice, and they're really big, so I'm honestly not sure. I might try and put this guy outside under my covered patio, or I might keep him inside, still to be determined. He was $29.99, and I honestly like had no intentions of buying a rubber tree. I have a Taniki in my kitchen, and that's held me over for a while wanting to get another one, but I don't know, sometimes I can go a long time with seeing a plant and have no interest in it, and then you just see the perfect one and you're like, I need to have it. So really excited about this guy. Not even sure if this is going to show up in the frame, but I have my fiddle leaf fig here. Yeah, I really don't think it's like feasible to get the entire guy in here. Let me try and lower him down a little bit. All right, well there we go. But basically what you're seeing here is half of my old fiddle leaf fig and then half of the new one that I got yesterday. So I've had this pot of fiddle leaf fig for a long time, basically since I moved to Arizona, and it started out with 3 stalks inside the pot. Unfortunately, the one that I had in the back recently died off, so I kind of just want to fill the pot back in, make it look more lush. And while I was there, they had 3-gallon pots of these fiddle leaf figs for $29.99 as well, so we swooped up and grabbed one of those. I know this will sound counterintuitive because I just said that I killed one of the stalks off of here, but I know so many people talk about how these are so difficult to take care of, and honestly for me, this has always been one of my favorite plants. So I'm just really excited for this plant to be nice and full again. I will say that the leaves on this fiddle leaf fig, and honestly this rubber tree too, they're like super dusty and dirty, so I really need to give them a good wipe down, but yeah, really jazzed about this. And finally, last but not least, I barely even fit in this frame anymore, but on a last minute decision, I got this beautiful cordyline. Now, if you can see, it isn't just any normal cordyline, it has this beautiful striping. As soon as I saw it, I was obsessed with it. And here's the thing, I noticed it right away when I walked in. It was kind of set up as a display, but I figured I would find one as I was touring the greenhouses. Nope, joke's on me, that was the only one there. I picked it up and tried to see if there was a price on it, and there wasn't one. Again, being the awkward person that I am, in my mind, I was just like, oh, maybe it's part of their personal collection and they don't want to sell it, which makes no sense because it's a giant mass scale nursery. But anyway, I finally worked up the nerve to ask one of the employees if I was allowed to buy this plant, and as you can see, they said yes. And just like the other 3-gallon pots that I got, this guy was also $29.99. So that really concludes all the adventures from the plant stand yesterday. Let me know if you ever shopped there before, what your experiences were, or if you have plans to shop there in the future. I would love to hear about it. If you enjoy watching plant hauls, check out the one that I did recently at big box stores. I got a ton of plants that used to be super rare for a super cheap price. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.